Oh my god. Oh. What's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to another video. And I know some of you Cowboy fans are here, but I know a lot of you are not Cowboy fans. Cowboys are eliminated. And let's talk about it.
Looking down the field, Lamb, 10, 5, victory! Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott. How about the rookie Micah Parsons? What a play!
Defense wins championships, but the Super Bowl is won by the quarterback.
Cowboys are eliminated from the playoffs, and that effectively ends their season. They lose to the San Francisco 49ers again, 19-12. But keeping with tradition, which is probably not the best tradition, is last year the Cowboys lost, and we enjoyed some rum that I received for Christmas. So today is a little bit different. We're going to do some Dos Hombres, and we're going to pour ourselves the glass and talk about this mother flipping game. I'll tell you what. If you want to see a Cowboys fan that's going to yell, be angry, you might get that. I honestly don't know. I'm putting tequila in my system, so I really don't know. Look, I'm not an alcoholic, so that's as much as you're going to get right there. I may pour another glass right there, but god dang. There we go. Dos Hombres. Thank you, Brian Cranston and Aaron Paul, but also thank you, Edward. You know who you are. Thank you. Cowboys lose. But like I said, if you're looking for an angry reaction, you might get that. There might be parts where I might derail. But just disappointment. Just disappointment, right? I really expected the Cowboys to be able to win this game. And I get it. I'm delusional. I've chosen this life. I understand. I know what hand I've been dealt. Cowboys lose 19-12. And they really had a chance here. Like they did last year. Which, weirdly enough, let's talk about it. How weird is this game compared to last year's wild card? Like, nearly similar. It's almost scary about how crazy similar it was. Because the Cowboys lost 22-17. I mean, right down to stopping the 49ers and then getting a chance at the end. Obviously, the Cowboys weren't as close. I mean, they were nowhere near close towards that final drive, getting close to any kind of potential play. I'm laughing about the last play of the game. It has to be more stupid, right, than the Dak Prescott play last year. At least that sort of made sense, in my opinion, and you guys seen my reaction about that. But the Turpin play, Zeke as a center, and Turpin got blown up, man. Like, it wasn't like a simple tackle. First off, high pass, thanks, Dak, and Turpin's up in the air, and he gets clobbered. Him being so small of a football player that he is, he got smashed. He just got pummeled to the ground. Jesus, man. Funny. But obviously, Dak had a chance to write history. He had a chance to do it like he did last year. He had a chance to write history with that final drive, but let's go ahead and make our way backwards then. Let's talk about this game, because in the most important drive of his career, the Cowboys are down 19-12. We know the defense gets a stop or they kick a field goal, so we know Dak's going to have an opportunity here, right? You get a touchdown, we go to overtime, at least, not knowing what's going to happen next. There's your game. Let's see how, we're paying you this much, right? I normally don't want to talk about how much a guy makes, but when there's that much monetary value put into someone, we at least got to talk about it. We at least got to reference it, that there's a lot of belief in you being that guy to at least do something in that situation. But let's break it down. First down and 10. Okay, game's on the line. Here we go. Dak Prescott, just get some positive yards, right? Nope. Almost throws an interception. In fact, I mean, he threw an interception. It's just that they dropped it. It was straight up a pick. And if he picked it off, if he caught it, that's a pick six. That's game. It's probably 26-12 when we're talking about the final score. Yikes. Then we go down to 2nd and 10. misses a wide open Michael Gallup. Now, I get it. If he throws it a little bit more in, the safety's coming up. But, I mean, there's that small window that he can drop it in. It's a very low percentage pass. I get that. But he threw outside. I don't know if he's trying to draw a penalty, but weirdly enough, that looked like that Cedric Wilson play from last year. God dang, that is so weird. And then the last play, of course, he's sacked. But you can't really put that all on him, right? Because the offensive line dwindled and that 49ers defense got to them. But before I rail on the Cowboys here and before we get going here, I do want to give my credit to the 49ers. The 49ers are the real deal when it comes to their defense. I don't know about their offense, but I know about their defense, man. They are the real deal. They slowly took over this game as expected, as a lot of people expected. I thought it was going to be a little bit different, but they took over the game, and they really held the Cowboys to 12 points, guys. We only had one touchdown to celebrate in this game, and it was to Dalton Schultz, who I doubt will be back with the Dallas Cowboys because obviously he doesn't know how to make a catch in the final 10 seconds of the game, doesn't know what it means to toe drag swag. And so I'm going to take another sip right there. And so let's talk about it. Dak Prescott, 23 of 37, 206 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Okay. He didn't play an awful game. He didn't play like the worst game he's ever played. We've seen that before. But he did too much. He did too much than what he was supposed to do. You want to look at a quarterback that played exactly what they were supposed to do and not hurt their team? Brock Purdy. Now, Brock Purdy doesn't have an incredible stat line. He was 19 to 29, 214 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. They didn't even have a 100-yard runner. But he did something important that all quarterbacks should at least do. And this is number one on the list for any quarterback. Don't turn the ball over. Brock Purdy did not have the style game that he had last week against the Seahawks. In fact, the Cowboys defense played really well. They limit the 49ers under 20 points. That's a W for, not like a actual W, but I'm just talking like a moral W for any kind of team if you can hold a team under 20 points. But he did something very important. He didn't hurt his team. He didn't throw interceptions. He didn't fumble the ball. Now, he was really close, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. But Dak Prescott hurt his team. And that first interception, it's an interception. I'm so tired, guys. It's the end of the season. I'm not going to argue with you at the end of the season. Oh, Michael Gallup should have been this. No, that's BS. Stop it. Dak threw the ball. And honestly, he just needs to learn that you can throw the ball away. Flag football 101. You don't see a play? Throw the ball away. Live for another down. Because you know what happens when you do that right there? You don't force the ball to Michael Gallup. You don't throw it. You throw it away. You punt the ball. And you live with yourself. You live with your chances. But throwing an interception and giving the 49ers that field position puts your team in a bad spot and forces pressure on the defense. And God, thank God for the defense, man. They held up. I got no problems with the defense, especially with that one particular drive, the one scoring drive in the second half. And then we talk about the second interception. Jesus, man. I tweeted it. I said, okay, here we go. Please don't throw any interceptions before the end of half, because he's been known to do that this season. And he had a hell of a play, right? 4th down, runs it up. Okay, we can maybe get some points out of this, right? We can maybe get a field goal out of this. Maybe. First off, I didn't really like the play call. I think it was like 2nd and 2 or 3rd and 2 or something like that. And we went an empty set with like 1 minute and 25 seconds left. I would have preferred it if we ran the ball, kill the clock, make sure it's 000 if we're trying to if we're taking it to the halftime. Don't want to give the ball back to the 49ers. So I hated the play call in the first place. We'll talk about Kellen Moore. Don't worry about that. I hated the play call. Either way, he forces the ball to CeeDee Lamb. I get trying to get him involved, but that's just another play, right? Dak has had this tendency, and he showed it a lot in this game, where he will make up his mind. He will make up his mind in a pre-read, pre-snap. He'll make up his mind no matter what happens and what he sees and how that defense moves when he hikes that ball. He's already made a decision in his mind to throw it, and it is very dangerous to do that. Because not only did we see it in that interception with CeeDee Lamb before the end of half, but we saw it on that crucial third down, and we're going to talk about that drive, that crucial third down towards the end of the game, where he threw it behind Fred Warner, the linebacker for the 49ers, and CeeDee Lamb got his fingertips on it when he could have just maybe got it to T.Y. Hilton. I'm not going to argue that past him because that's a tougher throw to T.Y. Hilton, or maybe as tough of a throw to CeeDee Lamb. But here's another thing. I talked about this before. Tendencies, consistencies that we see throughout the season, we gotta put a pin in it. Because a lot of people will look at that and be like, oh, those interceptions, coincidences, bad mishaps, dropped hands. No. A lot of those were Dak's fault. And it's just not coincidence, because when it happens more than 12 times, to be exact, it's a cause for concern, and it's not just coincidence at that point. It's a consistency. And just like last year when we played the 49ers, right, we talked about, oh, please no penalties. Please no penalties. What came up? Penalties. And in this game, please no Dak interceptions. Please no Dak interceptions. Please no rush defense, falling apart. Those two things happen. More of Dak throwing more interceptions in awful moments. It's not coincidences at that point. It's just the identity of the football team. And that was the identity of this team this year. The season's over, and that's it. Dak was not protective of the ball. He was doing too much when he didn't have to. Now, Tony Pollard left this game, unfortunately. He was injured. And we got to wait to hear that out because he's in a contract year, which was just awful. But then on the other side of that, you have Ezekiel Elliott, who I think we saw. I believe we saw him for the last time. That's my hunch. But that's also what I believe that they should do. Zeke, 10 carries for 26 yards. You're a starting running back in the National Football League, and we shouldn't have, 2-3 plays where you actually do something. He's more of a liability at this point, running the ball in short yardage situations, because I'd rather give it to Dak as a quarterback sneak than give it to Zeke, because he's so gassed. And he's a liability in the passing game, not because of his blocking, which apparently is like what Cowboys Nation loves, right? Oh, we want to keep him, though, because he's really good at pass blocking. I'm sorry. I didn't know he was an offensive lineman. I thought he was a running back. So we're supposed to run the ball through him. And when we do, it's 10 carries for freaking 26 yards. Cowboys Nation, you got to cut your sentiment with all of this. You got to stop with this emotional sentiment of being like, we got to keep Zeke. We got to keep Dak. Hot take coming. I'll touch on Dak here a little bit soon. I'll talk about Dak. But they got to cut ties with Zeke, man. He's a liability in the passing game because Dak goes through his progressions, right? He goes through his progressions, dumps it off to Zeke. I hate it, man. I hate it when he does that. I hate when he dumps down to Zeke because obviously we have T.Y. Hilton, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, other people to throw to, and he can't even throw to them. God dang, man. But I'll tell you really where the game fell apart. It wasn't really the interceptions, even though those would have been very helpful for those to maybe be turned into points or punts or whatever it may be. But the game really turned when they were up 12-9. Is that the right score? No, we were up 12-9. And the 49ers did what the Cowboys should have done. Because before that drive, the Cowboys drove. They had that big time catch to get out of their end zone to CeeDee Lamb. And we didn't go for it on fourth down, which is fine. I'm okay with that. Because at that point, and I know a lot of people are going to criticize and find a reason because you're mad right now. I get it. You're angry. You want to find someone to be mad at. So, yeah, go ahead. Point the finger at Mike McCarthy, even though he's the best coach since Bill Parcells that we've had here in Dallas. Go ahead. Have a field day. He's going to be back here next year. But what I'm trying to say here is at that point, you've held the 49ers to 9 points. If you punt the ball, you're going to be pinning them back in their 10. You're playing field position at that point because you're hoping, hey, maybe a 3 and out, or maybe not a 3 and out, but a stop, and they're going to punt it back to us, and we're going to have a short field. That's what he's thinking right there, y'all. Y'all play Madden too much, man, because you're like, oh, 4th and 4, you should go for it. Shut up. Shut up. At that point, the defense earned our trust enough to try to get a stop. Obviously, it didn't happen. I get that, but I'm trying to tell you that that's what the thinking was, and that thinking was sound at that time. But man, what a miracle drive, right, that the 49ers needed. And these are the breaks that sometimes you need to make a good playoff run. And when they go the other way, it can really change the game, and you could be on the other side of a win. You could lose the game because there's 3 things that happen in that drive. The Kittle catch, the George Kittle catch. My God. Brock Purdy's rolling out in the pocket, sidearms it. George Kittle juggles it. Trayvon Diggs, I don't know, man. I think I'm getting nitpicky here, but if he just puts his hand there instead of lowering his shoulder and not even knowing where he's going to tackle, if he just puts his hand in there, I like that better than him just aimlessly throwing his body at George Kittle. But George Kittle makes a miracle grab. There's nothing you can really do about it. It's the equivalent of the helmet catch in the Super Bowl. It's the equivalent of the curse catch in Seattle before Malcolm Butler intercepted the ball. It's just you can't do much with that. It was just a fantastic play by George Kittle, and we were on the bad end of that. Just a bad luck play, to be honest. Then the second thing happened where Diggs drops the interception. An opportunity to get it, and I think this ball game looks a lot different if Diggs catches that ball. And Jesus almighty, that ball was in his hands, wasn't it? Tipped, goes through the receiver's hands. He has it in his hands, y'all. He has it in his hands. And he drops it. Imagine this Cowboys defense at one point led the NFL in takeaways, and they didn't have any, despite the fumble recovery and the punt return. But that wasn't the defense. That was special teams. They had no turnovers forced today, and they needed one. This is why it's so important to talk about turnover differential, because, yes, that decides games. The Cowboys turned the ball over twice, I believe. Let me take a look here. Yeah, and the 49ers, they fumbled once. Anyways, and then the third thing is the holding call. We get the stop on 3rd down to force the field goal, and they call the holding call on Donovan Wilson. That sets up a new set of downs. They score. They run it in with Christian McCaffrey. It's a touchdown. That was your ball game right there. And I've seen this story way too much, guys. I've seen this movie way too much at that point to know what exactly we were about to see. Because then we're going into the 4th quarter, right? Or no. It was like the 4th quarter just started. And I knew right there. I would have been surprised if a miracle was pulled off, but we've seen this before, guys. We knew what movie it was going to be and how it was going to end. And the Cowboys, they ultimately came up short. And in the most important drive of his career, Dak went 3 and out. Like I said, I'm okay punting the ball in that situation because, you got to trust your defense. And I guess it just reroutes me back to, what we talked about and what I play in the videos here. And I'm getting close to closing this video. And I really appreciate you guys because, this is going to be the last one until next year's season opener. But it plays in the videos. It plays in the intros when the videos start. And it's Mike McCarthy basically saying, hey, defense wins championships, but the Super Bowl is won by the quarterback. He said that back in training camp. He said that before the season began. And it just kept coming back. You look at this game, the defense gave more than enough opportunities for the Cowboys to get a win. That's the truth. The defense made enough plays. I know they didn't have enough turnovers, any turnovers, but they got the stops where they needed to, where the offense could turn it into something. That drive that the 49ers had to get the touchdown in the second half, that's big. But also the Cowboys only settling for a field goal after they got a miracle fumble from the special teams from the 49ers. That was a big turning point too. If you get a touchdown, you really put pressure on the 49ers. Or that drive where we punted it instead of going for it on fourth and, whatever it was. If we score on that drive, you put the pressure on the 49ers. The defense did their job today, guys. Short-handed, without Jordan Lewis, Anthony Brown, this defense played well. They put pressure on Brock Purdy. They gave Purdy a really difficult game. One of the most difficult games he's played in his short NFL career. But it was the offense that came up short. It was the offense that couldn't get the job done. It was Kellen Moore. It was Ezekiel Elliott. It was not having enough personnel in the wide receiver room. CeeDee Lamb had an incredible game. 10 receptions, 117 yards. But the next closest person was Dalton Schultz, 5 receptions and 27 yards. Noah Brown and T.Y. Hilton were next. Michael Gallup didn't even have a catch. This season was plagued from the beginning because no one in that front office failed to address. They failed to address. The tequila's kicking in. I'm sorry. They failed to address the wide receiver room. And they thought that they could go to Walmart and reach in the $5 bin and grab themselves something that could be worthwhile. But you got to understand this. To make money, you got to spend money. Honestly, T.Y. Hilton was great for the 3rd and 30 against the Eagles on Christmas Eve. But if you have a guy like Odell Beckham Jr. to spread the offense, to put the defense like a 49ers defense on their heels, it's worth it because it helps out your quarterback. This was plagued before the season began. So this loss isn't just on Dak, even though he failed to muster more than 12 points with this offense. And as much as I want to blame it on that Woody lookalike, Kellen Moore, it's not all on him. There's a philosophy in Dallas that slowly is changing. But at the beginning, you gotta pay. And I hope, hey man, hopefully in the offseason we sign OBJ because there's still that chance, right? But just came up short. Jesus. Another season ending short. 28 years without an NFC Championship appearance. I think Zeke's gone. You got to get rid of him. Got to go with Tony Pollard, even though he's injured. But that's going to be a whole scenario, too, because I don't know if it's a high ankle sprain or something more severe. You got to go out and get a wide receiver because Michael Gallup, that experiment didn't work, even though you gave him the contract. That didn't work out. And here's the biggest thing, and I'm going to close with this, and I appreciate you guys for hanging out with me and getting this off of our chests and hanging out here. But is Dak Prescott the guy? I love him, man. I mean, he's on my freaking wall. Dak Prescott is, he's the image of the Dallas Cowboys. But look at, hear my argument. Hear my argument here. He is now 2-4 in the postseason. That's not successful. And granted, if you look at those games, yes, there's other certain things that come into that, and I understand it's a team sport and whatnot. But you know who else was 2-4 in the postseason? Yeah, Tony Romo. He was 2-4. And his last postseason game was against the Green Bay Packers with the Dez catch. And after that season ended, we thought to ourselves, oh, we'll be back. I know you're thinking that right now, but we got to be realistic, and I'm unbiased and realistic. There's no guarantee that we will have 12 wins again next season. There's no guarantee that we'll be back in the postseason. There's no guarantee to Dak Prescott's health nor any other player's health on this team that could affect next season. Is Dak the guy moving forward? That's not a knock on his character or his play type or whatever, or his playmaking abilities. You can have that conversation down below if he's a top 10 quarterback or whatever, but I'm just saying, Romo went 2-4, and then we turned the page. Dak Prescott has now officially reached that record, 2-4. And this is most likely the end of the Dak and Zeke era, because there's just I would be blown away if Zeke found his way back onto this team next year. I don't know, you know? And with signing Micah and signing Diggs, if they sign Diggs, signing CD, Dalton Schultz being out on the franchise tag, you know they're not going to re-sign him. Leighton Vander Esch with the contract extension coming up. Or do you blow it up? Because Aaron Rodgers wants to be traded. I'm not saying I want Aaron Rodgers, even though I would like Aaron Rodgers. But I'm just saying, this is not working. This has not been working. You know what got the Cowboys those 3 championships in the 90s? Yes, Emmett. Yes, Troy. Yes, Michael Irvin. Yes, the defense. Yes. But you know how they got those players? They traded Herschel Walker. The Cowboys since then have been trying to breed their own talent, so to speak. Home talent. Hometown talent. And they want themselves to be so right. They want to win a Super Bowl just to be so selfish and prove themselves right that, hey, we did it our way. Well, guess what? It hasn't worked. It's not working. You got to try something different. It didn't work with another quarterback, Tony Romo, who arguably is the greatest quarterback, most talented quarterback in Cowboys history. Now you have this new face, Dak Prescott, who now is one of the older quarterbacks in the league, coming up on 29. Something has to change here before we go into the dog days of the Cowboys again, before we go to 5-11. You want to compete, you got to spend money, or you got to get some balls. Really. You really do. You got to get some players. You got to spend the cap. I know you're going to end up like the Rams, but hey, they got a Super Bowl. We don't. They've won one in the past 25 years. We haven't. And that's your conversation. And that's how it ends. It's what it comes down to. But I'll be back, guys. I'm going to make more content for you here in the offseason. Don't worry. I'll be here. And I want to thank each and every one of you for watching and subscribing and following and just being so awesome. You guys have been really great. And it's an awful way to end the season. And it sucks that we're here again. But I'm just glad we're here together. Because there's nothing else like Cowboys Nation. You guys are electric. You guys are amazing. And if you've watched all 27 minutes of this video, God bless you. But I thank you. And I'll be back. And this sucks. And this hurts. And I don't know if it gets any better. Because I said the same exact thing last year. That's it. Cowboys lose 29. Cowboys lose 19-12. And they're eliminated once again. And they fail to reach the NFC Championship. I'll see you guys next video.
Looking down the field, Lamb, 10-5, victory! Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott. How about the rookie Micah Parsons? What a play!
Defense wins championships, but the Super Bowl is won by the quarterback.